Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Today, I'm going to be speaking from the heart of the experiences with Camp Ashraf. But first, I also thank you for this opportunity to return to the United Kingdom and once again work with the United Kingdom. Recently, we had the plot to kill the Saudi ambassador on American soil, led by the Codes Force. Matter of fact, our State Department stumbled around after that was discovered, and the first thing they came out and said, well, we need to see how high up in the chain of command this plot went before we can determine actions towards Iran. As a former anti-terrorism officer, and I think everybody in this room will agree with me, a plot of that depth is not going to be taking place unless it's approved all the way up to Khomeini. Well, democracy was already there with the PMOI, and they were working it. So they had good reason to welcome us. They worked closely with us. They showed us where various threat sites were. They provided us intelligence reports. They also surrendered their weapons to us. In exchange, they were given protected person status, signed agreements, and they were given cards. These are two examples. Saba and Majid signed those cards, and they carried them with them. They carried them with them on 2011 when they were murdered on the desert of Diyala province. And I will pass this so everyone can take a look at it, Madam Chairwoman. And I think you can look at these people and realize these are not the faces of terrorists. And I agree with everything said. It is totally unacceptable. Already mentioned were the attacks in 2009 and 2011, and I can honestly state the real terrorists in gunning down innocent people. There is something else I noticed when I was watching those videos, and it's hard for me to say, and I usually choke up when I'm saying it. And the commitment they had to each other is outstanding and really warrants, this is an organization that we must save. Also, there is a lot of confusion being created, and I call it clutter, when the reasons they're being called a terrorist organization. They are not terrorists. But this clutter I am talking about, all the slander, well, they're a Marxist-Leninist organization. Well, they're not, but what does that have to do with anything? And everything I have drilled down, and between my 2 tours of duty in Iraq, there was another individual there, General Dave Phillips. Dave had the same experiences I did. Every time a rumor came down, he immediately went out and discovered whether it was false or whether it was true. And not once did he find a rumor to be true. One, I'll give as an example. The PMOI are still recruiting at the training at this location. I went to that location immediately, had my Marines ready to come charging in. It was a work site where Iraqi workers were allowed to stay overnight and get some rest for the next work day, because if they came in and out of the camp on a daily basis, capture them, and then they would kill them. They were being given protection. These rumors we were always proven to be false, and we never found one that was true. There is one request I would like to make, and that is, if possible, a joint letter to our own State Department saying, we believe some action needs to be taken. State Department, you need to start moving. About 2 weeks ago, Louis Freeh headed up a letter signed by 21 people, generals, former Democrat national chairmen, former governors, Republican leaders, and he sent it to the State Department, Secretary of State, and he also sent it to the Secretary of General. But when you have Tom Ridge, the former Director of Homeland Security, again, Louis Freeh, you have John Sano, former Deputy Director of CIA, the list goes on, 4-star generals, 3-star generals, the former Attorney General, they're all saying the same thing. It's easy to see what is the common denominator, and yet the State Department thinks they know better. In all honesty, they're trying to play politics. The law was written and revised in 2004. State Department is ignoring it. As pointed out, they're ignoring the U.S. Court of Appeals. In July of 2010, it was clearly stated you got 6 months, State Department, to fix this. That has been 19 months ago. The United States was late in getting into World War I. I acknowledge that. We should have come in a lot sooner. The amount of time that we spent in World War I was just about the same amount of time that the State Department has had to make one decision and get them off the list. Yet, Secretary Clinton, Ambassador Dan Freed, says we're working aggressively on this. I am trying to figure out the meaning of the word aggressive. And what I recommended in Berlin, and I would also recommend here, is if it's to quickly engage and find a solution to a problem, State Department is missing it, and they really need to do a field tour over to the Pentagon and find out what the word aggressive really means. In closing, I really thank the opportunity to come and speak. It's a real pleasure, and it's great to see people on both sides of the Atlantic having the same interest, and also to prevent a situation that we will always look at in shame through history, that there wasn't enough done.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Chairwoman, thank you.